Do I love my new self-made rep cardigan? Absolutely yes. Do I think you should make one too? Well, if you want to stay cozy this winter and spring in this cute, fashionable, easy to make cardigan, then yes. I did create a PDF pattern for this cardigan that I'm sharing with you down in the description below, so feel free to download that. However, unfortunately the pattern only comes in one size, which is the size that I'm wearing right now. The pattern should roughly fit sizes from XXS to medium to a large. If your size is not included in that range, then what you could do is to just take the side seams and either widen or reduce them. However, I hope that having this base pattern is going to help you to create something similar to what I'm wearing right now. I do hope that you gain some value through the pattern and this tutorial, and let's get right into it.
The fabric that I used for this cardigan is quite a thick and heavy eyelash fabric, and I needed 1 meter of a 1.5 meter wide roll. I then simply cut my pattern pieces, which are the 2 front pieces, the back piece, the sleeves, the belt loops and cuffs, the belt, and lastly the binding. First of all, I sewed the belt loops right sides together lengthwise with a straight stitch and turned them right sides out with a safety pin. Next, you should sew the back and front pieces right sides together along the shoulder seam. Once they are attached, you need to spread the cardigan open and pin the binding along the entire front and neckline right sides together. For this, I simply used a straight stitch and I sewed it on with about 1/2 centimeter seam allowance. I ended up having some surplus fabric which I cut off afterwards. You then need to fold the binding over to the inside of the cardigan and pin it down from the outside, making sure you catch the binding on the inside. This needs to be done for the entire binding, and once you are done, you will stitch the binding to the cardigan with a stitch in the ditch, which is basically sewing along the seam we created when attaching the binding. With the binding fully attached, we can now attach the sleeves, making sure to pay attention to attach the steeper curved end towards the front of the cardigan. We of course sew this right sides together on both sides. Next, you can close the side seams and sleeves by aligning the sleeve seams first. Before you sew this together, make sure to pin the belt loop in between the side seams. You can then close the sleeves and sides with an overlocker, zigzag stitch or a straight stitch. The belt loops should then look like this. We need to repeat the same on the other side and make sure to attach the belt loops at the same height that we attached it to on the other side. And then the cardigan is slowly coming together. Next we are sewing the cuffs. The pattern is specific to my wrist measurement, so please adjust it to reflect the width of your wrists. Also note that the fabric I'm using is stretchy, which is why mine are fitting quite tight as they can stretch over my hands. To sew them together, we sew the cuff piece right sides together lengthwise. Next you would flip it right sides out and fold it wrong sides together, which then should fit over your hand like this. To attach the cuff to the sleeve, you need to first sew a basting stitch along the bottom of the sleeve. And then you need to pull on the thread until the bottom of the sleeve matches the width of your cuff. To attach the cuff, it's easiest to flip the sleeve inside out and place the cuff inside the sleeve to then sew a zigzag stitch around the entire circumference. The zigzag stitch is important so it remains stretchy. Next, turn the sleeve right side out and check that you have no raw edges showing. You will also need to remove the basting stitch. For the belt, we simply take our belt strips and sew them into one big strip, which we fold over lengthwise and sew right sides together. This then needs to be turned right sides out with either a safety pin or a loop turner, and the ends also need to be closed. Lastly, we need to hem the bottom of the cardigan, which I simply overlocked with a zigzag stitch so that the cardigan would stay nice and flowy. And with that we are finished, and here is the final outcome. I love this cardigan because it is so fluffy and warm. I love the fit and style of it, and I have been wearing it loads. I think it's a very versatile and timeless piece, which is exactly what I needed. If you do make this cardigan, please show me your results because I'd really love to see it. And other than that, thank you so much for watching.